My life has never been the same since using this concept. And one thing that I've come to learn over the last couple of weeks of being back in mining is the power of having a purpose. And in this video, I'm going to talk about the 5 ways that you can help find your purpose. And I guess the way that it's helped me in 2 specific areas of my life to have that clarity and have that direction. And so when time gets hard, I have that extra energy and go about me to execute. And one of the quotes that I absolutely love on this topic is a pretty popular one by Fernando Nietzsche, is a man who knows his why can bear almost anyhow. And so when I learned this concept, I was 19 years old. I was actually over in Phoenix, Arizona, working in a network marketing company. And one of the keynote speakers, Bob Proctor, spoke about the power of having a why and how much that can, I guess, give you energy and give you clarity and give you a reason for pushing through the hard times. What I learned as a 19-year-old boy, I was an apprentice at the time, was how to find my why. I wrote a little caption back then that has really guided me throughout my journey. And I'm going to show you how I did that and how you can too. And I've simplified the process, narrowed it down into 5 simple steps. And with that, you'll have, I guess, a way that you can start to find more purpose, more clarity, more energy at work, and especially how hard it is working out in the mining industry. A lot of us struggle to have that clarity, and we're making good money. We are away from our home. We're away from our family. We're sleeping in uncomfortable beds, in moldy rooms, in shitty environments, breathing in dirty dust all friggin' day. And what we really need to get through that is, what I think anyway, is having a purpose. So where this concept really enabled me to get the most out of it was about 5 or 6 years ago. When I was at a point in my career, I had my own contracting company. I was earning about 350, 400 grand a year. And my only focus at that period of my life, I was 23, 24, was to make money, which is a great motivator. Don't get me wrong. I think it's important that we want to have financial freedom and so on. But what I come to learn was money wasn't everything. Because for the past 3 years, I'd been making that amount of money, but I didn't really feel like I was getting anywhere. I didn't feel like my relationship was blossoming. I didn't feel like my health was in a place that I was proud of or happy about. And it kind of felt like every day was just Groundhog Day until I applied this purpose process. And the first thing that I did was I defined what I wanted. And in that period where I was leaving the mining industry, I knew that I was leaving and I was moving into a van to travel around Australia. So I got really specific on what I wanted. And then I defined why that was important to me. Why did I want to leave the industry? A big motivator for me was I saw people around me who had gone through hardship, gone through relationship separation, gone through financial bust, heaps of different challenges, health concerns. A lot of them turned to the same shitty vices. They just kept drinking, they just kept partying, and they just kept removing themselves from, I guess, a better way of living. And I figured, or at least I assumed, that there was no way that I could make the changes that I wanted to see, which were different to that, if I stuck around. So I wanted to find out who the fuck Blake was and do it in a way that was external to the industry. So I had to find out what the impact was. The third thing was like, how did I want to feel? Like, how would it make me feel by leaving the mining industry, by living in a van and traveling? And one of my whys, as I spoke about when I went over to Phoenix, Arizona when I was 19, that I wrote down was a life of freedom, a life of time, freedom of choice, freedom of lifestyle. And that's exactly what it allowed me to do. It allowed me to feel free. So define, or at least prescribe, a feeling or an emotion to why you're doing what you're doing. How's it going to feel when you achieve it? The fourth one is the cost of inaction. Now, pain is a powerful motivator. And I know for me, it motivates the shit out of me to think about the opposite side of, if I do nothing about this, what will my life look like? How will I feel then? What is the impact of doing nothing? And what's that? I think that quote goes is, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. And I think that's something that really falls into this question is, what are your consequences of inaction? Because if you do the same things expecting a different result, to me, that just feels like insanity. And to me, that would drive me insane. And I think that's what I observe, at least. A lot of people in mining, especially in the maintenance field that I work in, struggle with that. They've been doing the same thing for years on end. expecting a different result, and now they're just feeling stuck. They don't know how to change. And that to me is the cost of inaction, is staying the same, feeling mundane, feeling as though there is no better option. And so it's up to you. What is the result of you doing nothing? And then the last one is the fifth step, is just a quick little one, which is put in your calendar. Now, it might sound trivial, but the way I think about it, and I called it once the holiday method. Picture this: you're going on holiday and you don't put the dates in your calendar. You don't know when you're going to go. You're just going to go on holiday. What's the likelihood of you actually going? Slim to fuck all, right? But if you pick a date, you put it in your calendar, you put in for leave, you tell your partner, you get all your ducks in a row, you start thinking, fuck, well, if it's in 3 months' time, in December the 1st that I leave, well, I've got to do this by November. I've got to do this by October. And so you start to have this timeline of action steps that you need to take in order to find that and to execute. They're, I guess, the 5 little tips or processes and questions that you can ask that have helped me find my purpose. So the first one is define what you want. And I like to think in a 12-month period. What do you want in the next 12 months? The second part is, what is the impact of that? So when you achieve it, when that goal happens, when you reach that destination, what's the impact on you, on your family, on your career, on your life, your mental health, whatever. Third part is, how will it feel? Prescribe a feeling and emotion to it. The fourth one is your consequences of inactions. What happens if nothing happens? How do you feel? What's it like to wake up knowing that you could have done something and you chose to do fucking nothing? How does that feel? How do you feel about doing that? Because pain is a powerful motivator. And the fifth one is, put in your calendar, set a date and go for it. And I think if you can do those 5 things, you'll start to feel more purposeful. You'll feel more energetic. And I know for me, at least, with this period that I'm working back in the mines, I just finished 5 weeks straight. And because I have those things, I know why I'm here. The goal is to do a lap of Australia next year. I know that part of that goal is to get Evocative to a place where it's continually growing and we're bringing new people in, we're making consistent impact. Hence why I'm doing this video, right? I know why I'm doing it. And all of those feelings and emotions drive me far more than the fatigue, the shitty bed, the shitty camp food, although I can't complain too much because it's free and they cook it for me. But you know what I mean. And so having that purpose, having that reason for doing what you're doing drives every decision that you make at work, at home, and it fuels your jet for the life and the world that you want to create. So follow those 5 steps, have a crack, and when it gets tough, just go back to, why are you doing this? What's the impact? How will it feel? And just anchor yourself to that and push through. And I guarantee you'll start to feel better. Well, at least if you do it, it worked for me. I feel better. So all the best. Peace.